Hi, I'm Allison Godsey. This is Ben Tran and Jetson Ku, and we did artificial photosynthesis. So, what is artificial photosynthesis? So, most of you already know, but for those of you who don't, photosynthesis is the process by which light is converted into chemical energy, which then is stored and released to fuel an organism. And sunlight is used in this process to synthesize carbon dioxide and water. And then oxygen is a byproduct of this process. And as you can see, I put the equation down here. But essentially, what artificial photosynthesis does is it uses the process of photosynthesis to create useful forms of energy that are carbon negative. And basically, the hydrogen produced through artificial photosynthesis is another possible source of clean energy. So, how it works, semiconductors absorb solar energy similar to the chlorophylls of plants. And then those semiconductors generate charges. And those charges carry out reactions within the solutions. And then bacteria take the electrons from the semiconductors and they use them to transform or reduce carbon dioxide and produce the liquid fuel. So currently they're using the bacteria, but they are looking for a way to replace the bacteria with synthetic catalysts. And how it addresses global change issues. So it consumes carbon emissions and breaks them down, just as in the process of photosynthesis, and also releases oxygen. As we can see, it is a byproduct of regular photosynthesis as well as artificial photosynthesis. It's also supplying us with a possible source of clean, reusable energy, and it also may have the potential to provide the fuel we need on a large scale, as it is such a useful process. The fuel is produced by a carbon negative process because it is taking the CO2 from the atmosphere in order to produce this fuel. Um, and in one of the articles, it stated sun, water, carbon dioxide equals sustainable fuel. And I thought this was a very interesting point that says a lot about our potential future with this form of reusable energy.
In terms of some bits of the process, overall, it's a very efficient process because the semiconductors that are used in the biological systems move energy efficiently, mostly because they're designed to sustain themselves. So not a lot of energy is wasted. And the process is also diverse because it will produce natural gases as well as the renewable liquid fuel. And this is different from like burning fossil fuels because it'll produce the different kinds of fuels which can be used. Economically, it's viable because the CO2 can be stored and then it's saleable. But most importantly, it's sustainable. And as Ali mentioned, the process is net carbon neutral or it's carbon negative, depending on how the fuels are used, which is important because it enables anthropogenic activity such as fueling machinery or cars because the using the fuels from artificial photosynthesis is less harmful to the environment than burning fossil fuels.
In regards to current breakthroughs, one of the most prevalent innovations right now would be the photocatalyst sheets. And pretty much these are cobalt based sheets that have semiconductive powder on them. And pretty much from there, cobalt acts as a catalyst for the reaction or for the photosynthesis reaction. And so this sheet will take in CO2, water, and sunlight, and then it'll produce oxygen and formic acid. And this formic acid can be used either as formic acid or converted into hydrogen, which is another potential source of clean energy. Um, these sheets can possibly be mass produced, and this process is also self-sufficient. But since this is a relatively new technology, it's still being tested and further improved upon. Other current breakthroughs recently, as of February, the Department of Energy announced to provide $100 million to solar fuels research, and artificial photosynthesis actually falls under this category. So in the next coming years, there will be more further research upon the topic. As well as that, the University of Illinois is currently researching creating complex liquefiable hydrocarbons out of excess CO2. And this could be in the form of like creating propane.
And lastly, just some limitations for the process or challenges. As we mentioned before, bacteria are currently being used since the process is like in an early stage of development, and they're trying to replace them with synthetic catalysts that would be more efficient because bacteria aren't always as durable as might be desired, and they might not be as efficient. But hopefully this can be remedied in the future. And lastly, the process isn't as portable as you might want it to be because it's dependent on sunlight. So if you're in somewhere like Alaska where sunlight doesn't reach throughout the year, then you obviously can't use the process throughout the year.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. These are some of our resources.